Hey, it's me again. It's Saturday, July 21 at 6:35, and I'm talking with a very, very dear and close person to me. Um, and I'll just say O. And we're just having this discussion about poverty. And here's my baby friend. Say hello. She's so sweet. Beautiful girl. But we're having some discussion around how do you actually contextualize the stuff that we go through as black women. And this is another sister. But you know what? She's a sister of knowledge. And we're just trying to make some sense of how do you actually contextualize and mitigate, this thing related to racial profiling. We were at the flea market earlier on today, speaking with some business owners. These are executives from Jamaica. This is a sister who is very, very knowledgeable. And just wanted to say hello. Oh, hello. So we're talking about some stuff in relation to, for example, what I've noticed is that there's something called nonprofits, and I'm not even sure what they're really in the business for. Because if you're actually organized as a nonprofit, then shouldn't it be volunteer? So these executives in nonprofits should actually be making no money. So I'm not understanding what exactly they're doing. And we're talking about just different types of ways to, for example, contextualize this, and just casual participatory conversation, and the reason why I'm actually sharing this with you is just to give you a sense of what we have to do to actually mitigate some of the things we go through. Like, for example, there's a racial profiling related to my ability to practice my practice. And because I'm the wrong color and I have the wrong hair texture, the Ontario government can take the position to obstruct my license. And the Ontario government currently is under the Liberal regime of McGuinty. And take a look at this fucking McGuinty guy and this bitch, Laura Albanese. I have no respect for these people because you know what? They're still human. I was actually talking to a guy today who's also from the Italy community, only has grade 5 education. And I'm telling you, that man gave me a lens into how they used to actually treat each other in Italy. So, we have to be able to sit down and negotiate things. So this is what we're just talking about. And, we're just going to show you what we have to do. We're talking about food systems. And I called a food system the other day, I don't know, it's called Food Share, because I'm going to call these guys out. Because I was actually looking at ways to get organic food into poor communities, right? Because if you see a lot of the shit that people eat, this is O, and O is very into like, what would you call it? What would you call it? Alternative?
I would say I'm into social justice or food justice. And what you were saying about getting organic foods into poor communities, Food Share started 26 years ago, and one of the things that they started with Mary Lou Morgan back in the day, around the time that Debbie Fields came on board as executive director, and I think even before, was bringing the good food box to poor communities.
Right.
But because they didn't want it to be stigmatized and to have people lining up in communities to get the quote-unquote poor people's food delivery systems, it was opened up to all communities. And they currently do offer an organic good food box to the community, which to me is a far cry above offering people canned goods or foods that are not healthy for our bodies. Yes, a lot of people cannot afford foods, but I think when we're talking about a food delivery system that is eliminating farmers, we're far removed from the people who grow from us. We've been taught over the past generations that farmers are not really anybody to be respected, but we'll respect a doctor. And for me, it just really, and I'm not speaking against doctors. I'm not speaking against lawyers. I'm not speaking against people with other careers. But I'm saying we need to have respect and a love for the people who grow our foods. And the thing that's going on in our lives these days that I'm really excited about, yes, people are talking about local, but when my mother was growing up on a farm in Saskatchewan, I know it wasn't a dignified career to have. That's why she and all of her siblings fled to the cities. But if you have the wherewithal to know how to grow food, and you come to a city when where you haven't been given other careers or other opportunities, then you're fodder for marginalized jobs. So you can't escape poverty. But if people who came from the farm were were respected enough to pass on the knowledge that they have, like we're doing today, my mother would have been in a whole different, and her siblings would have been in a whole different echelon in terms of respect and economic opportunity.
Well, and this, oh, you're so beautiful. And one of the things that I've been trying to sort of understand is why exactly they have this thing called OHIP in Ontario. It's called the Ontario Health Insurance Plan. Why isn't it that I can't go to actually a practitioner and say, look, practitioner, this is something that I'm not understanding. Okay, pay this person $300,000. What exactly is this whole thing? And with O here, one of the things that she's very familiar with is just this whole alternative medicine and nutrition as the means for health. But as black women, why aren't we actually connecting with people who have experience in the community? For example, as an academic in training and like a professor in training, like I really hate saying that, but I just want you to understand how, as the audience watching this, how we actually have to mitigate our lives. This is a woman, black woman, Saskatchewan. I'm a black woman from, there's the Canada and the Jamaica background and, all of West Africa, and we're all from the African diaspora here. And, why exactly do we have to go to a Caucasian system to actually assist our system? I'm not getting this thing around, for example, adversity towards the poor. And we were talking about, food systems, and I think it was called, I can't remember the name of it, but imperial building through nonprofit. What exactly are these nonprofits? Because you know what? Some of them are even worse than Monsanto. If you see how they actually operate in, for example, there's elements in York Southwestern, but also other elements in the GTA Toronto area. What exactly is nonprofit? Because theoretically and contextually, if a nonprofit is in the business for no profit, then you know what? The executive directors should actually be volunteer. So, what exactly is going on here? And, black women go through a lot. I was talking to a sister today through secondhand information, and, there's a whole bunch of sisters who have had their licenses suspended. And I'm saying to myself, what the heck? And you know what? They all have dreadlocks, is what some people think. They actually are women who are beautiful, and they have locks. Very productive woman. One, she's was into optometry, and they obstructed her stuff. And now she actually has to work one job on the weekend, and she's in another opportunity making sunglasses or making glass frames. And they obstructed her license, and they didn't even explain to her. And you know what? She was just really, really disgusted with the whole thing, that she said, fuck it. Beautiful woman with locks. So I'm not getting what's going on here, but it's not to make excuses for what is bullshit. We're trying to figure out here, okay, how do you actually address this thing called, it's not even stigma, because I'm not even going to use these code words that you hear in Eurocentric media, but opportunity for black women. This is a black woman who knows everything about everything. And I've said to her, I said, you know what, you need to write a fucking book. But you know who's... She's telling me to stop cussing. Well, the reason why is because, you know, lingo just comes natural at times, and it gets really frustrating. But it's nice when you come to, for example, you know, the people who have experience in our community. You know, you can go to them and say, look, I don't understand some things, but what about their lives? Why can't I go to my elders, right? And elders not to mean, oh, you know, these people, they're going to, you know, die or whatever soon. No. Elder is a person of wisdom, right? It has nothing to do with age. Why can't I actually go to an elder and say, you know what? I need to get some guidance here, and charge it through this OHIP. What exactly is this thing called OHIP? People, you need to see how things are in Canada. Canada is not all peaches and cream. You ask these motherfuckers, why are they suspending people's livelihoods? A whole bunch of people are talking, what the hell is going on? Just the other day there was a tragedy, another one.
I would like to speak on that.
Yep, and gonna let you know, a wise woman, I don't know what to call my friend here, but you know what, I just say flower, because she represents something so beautiful and something that we need to see as our mentors. We need to see flowers. This is a flower. So there was some comment that was made the other day, and there's 10 minutes left, so we got a lot of time, and I'll just let you know. What are your thoughts on that, about getting people out of Toronto? Since when do we talk about constitutional infractions like that?
My heart is really saddened because when you have planned poverty neighborhoods, what you're really doing is setting them up
planned poverty
as adjunct office space for people to further have enterprise. You have poor people living there, so it's really easy to indoctrinate their youth into activities that you wouldn't want your own offspring to be involved in.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to dump goods into those neighborhoods that really aren't being sold legally. It's really easy to pack up your mobile office and go back to your clean, well-serviced neighborhood after you've set up office in a planned poverty neighborhood. And planned poverty, to me, when you're planning poverty, you're planning self-hatred. You're planning desperation, hopelessness. You're planning self-hatred. You're planning suspicion. You're planning suicide. You're planning self-medication. And you're planning lateral. All of these things are lateral. You're also planning death. And the only reason why people are taking notice of what is going on in poverty neighborhoods is because it's spilling over at their door. Poverty will reach your door as you sustain a system that allows you to have a privileged life. And that is why people are taking attention to what's going on. There is no excuse for the violence, the deaths, and the guns. But you know what? Who's bringing them into these neighborhoods? Because if I was trying to buy a gun and I couldn't get one, then I wouldn't have one.
And you know, that's a good point, because even in some of the discussions in the other videos and just the commentary from putting up these discussions is that how do you actually make sense of all this? Because first of all, if this model does not work, then you know what? These leaders got to step down. They have to step down, and you know what? Put a model in that actually works. For example, if you design a ball, and the ball is actually not adequate for what it's used for, then what you're going to do is you're actually going to re-engineer the ball, or you're going to replace the whole model of that ball. And that's the thing with governance in Ontario. We're not understanding here what exactly is this, as O was saying about the planned poverty. You know, planning
They call
misfortune.
them priority neighborhoods, but I call this planned poverty hoods.
Yeah, they're very sophisticated. Like, for example, the United Way. The United Way operates as sort of this charity where you sort of go to the United Way for a bunch of stuff. But United Way, actually, I remember back in Alberta, I was working at this place back in my teens, and United Way was very aggressive with their donations. And I was working in a federally regulated corporation. And if we didn't donate to the United Way, then you know what? We people tried to make things bad for us. So you know what I did? I said no, I'm not donating to anything, because you know what? That should be a choice. Don't force me to give to something. And you know what? I was speaking with a colleague, and she said she doesn't donate to United Way at all as well, because what had happened was she took $100 and she put it in $100 bill. She put it in an envelope, and she said, you know what? Went to the United Way and said, send it to this address in Calgary, Alberta. Do not tell them where it came from, but I know that they're suffering, and this is what I have to give them. $100. You know what the United Way did? They took $90 administrative fee, and that family only got the $10. You know, so you have to actually begin to question, what the hell is this planned poverty thing? Should we really be supporting these charitable organizations? I mean, even where I live, I'm sitting in my studio and doing my work and stuff, and, you know, being racially profiled according to medicalization. We don't take pills. We actually do alternative stuff, what they call alternative, but that's normal for us.
We call it roots.
We call it roots.
People call it roots medicine, and what that means is, and I'm not talking about smoking marijuana, because people usually say, "Oh, you people do." And I was brought up and born in Canada, but I was taught how to use plant medicine to take care of my body, and to use Western medicine as not as an emergency, but as a second step if the illness was really, really serious, or if it was something that you didn't catch in time to use the earth to heal, then you would go to a doctor. Like for instance, for certain emergencies, like if you have to have an appendix out or whatever, then yes, there is a place for Western medicine. I'm not speaking against Western medicine. I'm just stating that my culture comes from the earth. We were taught to live one with the earth. And it's really sad that we are getting rid of all of the cultures on the planet that are living one with Mother Earth, because that is our only chance for all of us to live and survive, especially when you're living in systems that are taking away everything from people and continuing the onslaught of creating more and more poverty, more and more hopelessness, more and more dire straits for people who are already marginalized.
And you know, that's an interesting thing too, because in my communications with the governance, because people are scared to talk to executives. You know what? You are an executive. Let them treat you like a fucking executive. Better than what they are. There's good executives out there. Try talking to some of these transnational executives. They really want to work with us, but you know what? They don't know how to connect with us. This is why we have to get this stuff out. Do not use Eurocentric media, because they're just looking for talking points. These are critical social issues affecting us.
Be entertained and move on to the next story.
Yeah, just entertain and then move on to the next story. I was actually in a discussion with another family, another black, sort of a black consciousness circle, but it was like a family speaking. And they said, you know, the only time people seem to show some love is when there's a death, there's a shooting, or there's some kind of tragedy. O had mentioned something about suicides. Are suicides really suicides? A person killing himself? Or is it about social infrastructure? If the supports are not there economically and social wise, then what are these suicides really? Because where we live, we meaning, just a demographic where there's a lot of like marginalization and stuff. What exactly is this tragedy? People want to come to Toronto and, out there in Eurocentric media, they say that it's, diversity. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Because you know what? Look at what's happening here. Ask about this thing called alternative, and living close to the earth. That's my culture as well. That's our culture. We're from the same diaspora. We are one with nature. I'm going to continue to do these videos until we do get some answers, and you know what? We do get some action. The model has to be replaced. Straight and simple, has to be replaced. We're going to watch them.
People have to have political and spiritual will for there to be a quality of life for each person on the planet, irrespective of what you want, what natural resources that you want to steal from wherever people are living. And when you downgrade people's economy to a monopoly, to a one crop or no crop, and people have to actually bring whatever little foods that they're eating into their neighborhoods instead of being encouraged and allowed to grow that. When we can stop land grabbing and stealing resources and do a trade or barter or sell and buy, as opposed to what's really going on in this world, then there will be no need for war. There will be no need for theft. The United States and Canada were built on the steal it, bottle it, sell it. But yet, that's what they call the American dream. That's why there is no American dream.
Well,
there's nothing left to steal.
Well, and on that note, there's nothing left to steal. That's why the model has to be replaced. We'll definitely come back to this in another video. Thanks for watching, and your comments are always, always appreciated. Please be frank. Don't censor anything. If you have to swear or whatever, put motherfucker or whatever on there, please do. Because you know what? It begins with speaking. Thank you.